Hi, welcome to Money Confidence. I'm Crystal Oculee, the Chief Financial Strategist here at Confidence Wealth, and I always try to bring a topic to you that seems to be the topic of the conversation during the week. So this week has been all about estate planning. So it's always interesting sometimes when you meet people that have lots of assets, but they have never set up a trust in place, and they've been told that a will is enough. So when is the will enough, and when would a trust kick in? So, yes, there are times that is going to be a personal preference, but obviously, if you have assets that are saved along the way and then you have your real estate, it makes sense to have a trust in place that not just keeps you organized, but also helps avoid anything as far as probate is concerned. So, example, you may have properties in different states, and not every state is going to allow you to have a transfer on death deed. And again, we're not talking about joint spouse because that's different. We're talking about the kids down the line. So, not all properties and not all states will have that, allowance that you could do that. So you don't want your property to go through probate because that's going to be very costly. The other thing that's really important also when you put a trust in place, it really gets rid of any of arguments amongst heirs, right? You may have multiple kids, and even though right now you think everyone is great, you don't know who they're going to marry, how it's going to look down the line, who's going to influence who. And what you don't want to have on hand is a fight in court when you're gone of your kids at that time where they should be coming closer together. So what a trust will help you do is make sure everything is set up the way you want it to be set up, and that there is no anyone disputing anything, because you can actually put into the trust that anyone disputes it gets thrown out of the trust completely. So that'll stop any of the arguments and any, family conflict. So that's always good. The other thing that's great is, remember, it's called a living trust. So it's not just about when you're gone, it's also about when you are living and maybe something happens that makes you temporarily incapacitated. What if you went to surgery and something occurred? Think about during COVID, how many people temporarily were incapacitated. Well, what would happen when that occurs? Your, trustee can go ahead and step in, and different people handling different things for you and making sure your wishes are still being passed the way that you want them to be done, right? And there might be access to certain accounts that needed to be accessed. For example, I remember that year during COVID, I had couples that I would ask, well, if something happened to either one of you and you're incapacitated, how would you access each other's account? They're like, well, I'm the beneficiary. Beneficiary is not the same as a financial power attorney. So this is when someone is alive, but you need to access their accounts for expenses or whatever it may be. So you can see there are many reasons when you think about a trust, why that's important. Also, passing on your messages and some, traditions that are important to you when it comes to sentimental things can be written into a will, and you can, plug that into your trust and make sure everything is set up and is organized the right way. Now, I know there are lots of reasons, where people look at different types of trusts, complex trust, and all of those different things. I'm just right now talking about very simple revocable trusts. Obviously, not just depending on the size of your estate, but the complexity, or maybe different things you're trying to do. Maybe you're looking for asset protection. Then those are different kinds of trust, and there will be different kinds of things that you would discuss in those conversations. This was just, I wanted to touch base on a very, you know, preliminary, simple, revocable trust that at the very least everybody should have. Now, as I said, there are many, many families that will need a lot more complexity when it comes to their estate planning. In the meantime, I have a couple of webinars that address different things and things that you can pay attention to, why trust is important. I did a webinar where I interviewed an attorney that I think this would be helpful to you. So feel free to go to the YouTube channel and go ahead and watch those. I'll also put the link through this. I'll put the link below that you can actually access it through here and watch those webinars as well. In the meantime, if you have any questions about trust in general and thinking about, hey, what are the things I should be thinking about putting in and not putting in, feel free to go ahead and message me. But at the very least, do me a favor. If you don't have a trust in place, or if you do have a trust in place, make sure everything is set the right way, meaning you have your assets listed in there. If you don't have a trust in place, please make sure at least you have beneficiary on all of your accounts, that at the very least, that's taken care of. Don't wait and say, I'll do it tomorrow. Many people do. And then if it's too late, God forbid, we just never know what life throws at us. Then we'll look back Well, you won't look back because you won't be here, but your family will look back and say, well, I wish they had done that. So those are the things that it's really important for you to always watch out for and pay attention to. In the meantime, again, as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me also at askcrystal@icwm.com. That's again, askcrystal@icwm.com. Until next time.